Good morning. This is Dr. Scott from Sixth Sense Acupuncture. I'm a registered acupuncturist and Chinese herbalist, and I'm based in Brisbane, Australia. So you're watching the Get Busy Livin podcast, and we have the wonderful Dr. Vesna Grubacevic. So, Dr. Vesna, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We much appreciate your time. So I'll start off by asking you, what gets you out of bed every morning?
Thank you, Dr. Scott. It's great to be here and share some of my tips with everyone. What gets me out of bed is doing what I love. I absolutely love making a difference. I have this grand vision of creating an empowered society where we live in peace and harmony and everyone respects each other. And so there's a little bit of a way to go there. So that's what drives me to get out of bed, make the world a better place.
Yes, I totally agree. That is very what was it? It just fills your heart when you see someone that
Yeah.
commits to themselves and they want to get better, and you see that they just increase in abundance just tenfold so quickly. It's a wonderful sight to see. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, and so tell us a little bit about how you got into the healthcare field, and then we'll go from there. Probably expand from that as well.
Okay. So it's a bit of a journey, so I'll keep it nice and short. So it started way back in my corporate life. I was in a banking and finance institution for 13 years. I was there as an international economist, working with numbers for 9 years, and then moved into corporate strategy the last 4 years I was there. And it wasn't my passion. It didn't get me out of bed, excited. I realized I felt like a fish out of water being there. It's not where I belonged. It's not where I fitted. And I asked myself a very important question back then. What do I want to do when I grow up? And I didn't have the answer. So I decided to do a lot of self-development. I went to one self-development seminar after another. You know, those rah-rah seminars where you get really pumped for a month and then it wears off and you go back for another. So I became a seminar junkie, shall we say. Kept going back for more. And eventually I came across NLP and hypnotherapy. I saw a big change in me, became certified as a master practitioner and trainer in the techniques, as well as some other tools as well. And because of the change in me, I thought, wow, I'd love to be able to help other people have similar changes. Plus, through that process, I realized it's not numbers that I'm passionate about, it's people, working with people. So I made a change from numbers to people. I still use numbers in business, of course, to track results, but it's people that I'm passionate about helping, and that's more rewarding for me. So uh, I decided to go on long service leave while I was at the bank. I had a 3 months long service leave. In that first month, I decided to put myself to the test. I thought, all right, I'm going to see how I can go with starting off my business. So I just spoke to people. I told them what I do. I told them about my, new certifications and how I can help. And I secured my monthly bank income in that first month of just simply talking to people. I wasn't selling, I was just talking, telling them what I did. And so I proved to myself I can do it. I thought, wow, I can do this. So within 3 months, I resigned. And 23 years later, I've been running my business QT full time, loving what I do. And back in 2008, I completed a PhD while running my business full time as well. And through that process, discovered, it's quite a feat, discovered a new set of behavioral change techniques. Yeah, so it's a bit of a journey. And so I've had quite a few changes through that process, which I can go into if you like.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
One that is sort of quite relevant to what you do, Dr. Scott, is my health. My health was a major area that I saw a huge change in. Way back 23 years ago now, I was 15 kilos heavier because, confession, I had an addiction to chocolate. So, I used to have a full family-sized block of chocolate when I got home, ate it in one sitting after having 2 bars of chocolate on the way home on the bus and train. And that was every day. And I didn't do any exercise. So it had to show. Yeah. So
Yeah.
pretty unhealthy. So I decided to give up chocolate, and I haven't had chocolate since. And I've lost 15 kilos, and I've kept it off the whole 23 years. So, and I also made health my priority. And now I just automatically wake up in the morning and exercise and do my morning routine. It's just self motivation. It's just who I am, and don't need any rah rah. It just happens automatically. And so health is a big transformation that I've had. Also had huge number of fears and self doubts, and I worked through those. And because I saw a big change in me, I thought, wow, I'd love to be able to help other people do the same. If I can change, other people can change. So that was part of the motivation as well. And of course, changing the career as well, going from a secure corporate job, where you get the regular income, prestige, etc., to having to have enough self-belief to back yourself to run your own business, as you know, Dr. Scott. It's quite a different
Yeah,
mindset.
yeah, definitely. So tell me again. So what did you the PhD in?
PhD in clinical hypnotherapy.
Hypnotherapy.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So is that the main component you use in your business, or do you use
I
other components?
Yeah, there's three major techniques that I use. Hypnotherapy is one of them, NLP is another, and Q2 Respect Eye techniques is the third one, which is the one that I developed through the PhD. And we've developed certification trainings around those techniques as well. So now it's a recognized certification training as well, a modality covered by professional indemnity insurance as well in Australia. Plus, we've won multiple awards. So, yeah, it's recognized.
Wow. Wow. I think you're the only person I've met that actually has a PhD in hypnotherapy. So that's is it applied science? Is that what the field it comes under? Or
It comes under, depending on where you do it, but it can come under the medical field, part of a medical
yeah,
degree.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's fantastic. I didn't even know. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been an easy feat. Um, so what did you do a thesis, or did you have to? You've created your own uh, courses, so suspect you would have had to have researched big time into hypnotherapy and the
Yes.
science behind it.
There was coursework as part of it, and then, of course, a major thesis. And that was a journey in itself. Yeah.
I imagine it would be. So that helped you change your life as well, I suspect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Putting aside the fact that, running a full-time business plus doing the PhD leaves you no space for a social life.
Mm.
That in itself changes your life. And then when you complete something that big, it's like you need to rediscover, what is life again? What are you supposed to be doing out there now that you've completed this? And who are you now that the PhD is done? You're no longer a student, so it's quite a process to go through it, and then get back into a different focus afterwards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right. So tell us how did you go with your peers, like your mentor? Was he open, or he or she or whoever it was? Were they open to that method of healthcare, or because obviously you did, because they wouldn't have
Mm,
put the thesis through.
right.
Um, and
Yeah.
I think the second question to that would be, did you do a release an article on it? Did you do a research paper on it?
Not a research paper, mainly just a thesis. And he was very supportive. It was a he, the supervisor, very supportive, very encouraging, um, very particular. So, everything had to be dotted and, uh,
Yeah, cross your T's, dot your I's. Yeah.
exactly. And that was, there were a few challenges around that in terms of, oh, I forgot the full stop or comma, or, just little pedantic things. But that's all part of the process.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about what how you've implemented that into your business now.
Okay. Developing the techniques, it's actually more than just techniques. It's prior to discovering the new driver of human behavior. I'll just take a step back.
Yeah, okay.
There's over 60 individual drivers that we have on a subconscious level, and some are conscious, that drive human behavior. And the one that I developed through the PhD is a new one. And so there's a set of techniques around how to change that and how to get much faster transformation in people's lives. It's basically people can let go of something that we call a deeper core issue that goes much deeper than values and beliefs, even deeper than the deepest of values and beliefs that really drive who we are as people. And once we change that, we get a very quick transformation. And each one we can change in about 5 minutes or less. So it's very quick and it's long term. And we don't have to deal with the past, talk about past memories, or re-traumatize clients in the process. So it's very comfortable. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And how do you? So it, this is a hard question for me. So how do you get people to open up? How do you get people to explain what the real problem is?
Yeah. You always need to begin with understanding the nature of the problem. Absolutely. So you start off with that, but we can do it. You can do it in different ways. You can do it in a way where you delve into the past and people talk about their past in detail, or you can do it in a way where you do a shorter history, so to speak, or you can do it in a way where you understand what's going on in their life at the moment. That is a reflection of what's happened in the past, and I don't have to talk about the past in order for you to identify that. Yeah, so there's different ways of doing it. So I prefer to avoid re-traumatizing clients and get them talking about the past too much, because they've relived it so many times already.
Yeah,
and they don't need to. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you dredge up. Yeah. Okay, so do you just talk more about the solution, or do you just talk about other ways of reflecting in a more positive way?
Yeah, we identify patterns in a different way without delving into the past.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the patterns are. Sorry, you're right. You go.
It's okay, Dr. Scott. Go on.
So the patterns that you're what are the most common patterns that you would see?
They vary. They vary. So if we just look at generally, putting aside the techniques that I've created, just generally in people's behaviour, if we look at patterns, there's a number of different ways people sabotage themselves, for example. Okay, there's over 34 different ways people sabotage themselves. Anything from the emotions they feel, so fears are big saboteurs. Anxiety is a saboteur, and they also sabotage people feeling confidence, and also sabotage their motivation as well, because when people go into fear, they go into inaction. They sort of hold back rather than being proactive. And similar with anxiety as well. Then also people procrastinate. That's another big saboteur. They put things off, and often things never get done. They keep being put off. The list goes on and on. There's lots of ways people sabotage themselves. So part of the training that I run when I train in certified practitioners is teaching them how to identify the patterns very quickly, and then how to address them very quickly as well.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about sabotaging, and there's 34 different ways. I know that the military, I've never served in the military, but I have worked with lots of people that worked in the military industry, and they basically tell me they just go over and over and over again. The same. It's the same with sports, team sports, I should say. They
Mhm.
go over and over and over again. Their training for whatever they're training for. The reason being is that yes, especially in combat, because they're in fear. They're worried about getting killed, so
Mm,
it's a pretty fearful place to be.
mm.
So what they're trying to do is that the body will just take over, and that the mind doesn't think about it, and they just do exactly what they've been trained to do.
Yes.
So, um, is that where you've got some of your information from? Because, I mean, the military, they spend so much money on this sort of research that it's
They do.
crazy. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yep.
so yeah, you did. So was that part of what you
Not,
researched?
not actually, although having said that the military has some aspects of the military have used NLP for some of their training. So, for example, they've completed a modeling project in the US. This is a little while ago now with three people in the NLP field, and they wanted to look at how can we train a top marksman to shoot every single time and hit the bullseye, basically.
Yeah,
And so they wanted to reduce the number of days it took to train a top marksman, and also make sure that the ammunition cost was reduced. And so that's what they achieved through that project using NLP modeling principles. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
right.
mm, yeah, yeah.
Is there anything else you can add to that? Because I
Oh,
imagine there would have been a lot you would have read about that. They
yeah.
they spare no expense.
No, that's right. That's right. It's uh, what they found. It used to take them about 5 days to train top marksmen, and they reduced the training time down to 1 day as a result of the modelling
Oh,
project. They saved something like 75% on the ammunition costs, so they reduced the ammunition costs significantly, and they
yeah,
had a
right.
100% qualification rate. So every single person that went through the training achieved a qualification.
Wow.
So it was a
In
big
one
success.
day. In one day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, basically they looked at um, a whole bunch of top marksmen, and they
Mm.
looked at what was going on up here. What is their mindset? What were the strategies they were doing that caused them to be top marksmen? And they narrowed it down to 54 things they did that differentiated them from the average marksman. Yeah. And so then they replicated those 54 things into the training to train up the new marksman to be in the same sort of mindset and skills so they can get there faster.
So how did they do that? Did they just ask them questions about their preparation and
Yep. So some of it is physiology. So you can imagine they need to have a particular way that they stand, hold the gun, how they're breathing. All of that's really important with anything that's physical. So they first of all looked at the posture and the breathing. Then they looked at their mindset. What are their values and beliefs around hitting the actual bullseye? Because beliefs are very, very powerful. Can you imagine a marksman there wanting to shoot the bullseye, and he or she is questioning, oh, what if I don't hit it? Of course they won't. Yeah,
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's doubt in their mind, which will affect the way they breathe, affect the way that they hold their physiology, which will have the bullet go off track. Okay,
yeah,
so
gotcha.
yeah, they wanted to look at what are the positive beliefs that the top marksman had that they could then install in the other ones, so they could have the same beliefs and therefore hit the bullseye every single time.
Yeah, that I've
Hmm.
done a bit of research into sports science, and they they did especially in rugby league here in Australia. They interviewed the top players that can change a game. There's not many players that can do that. They can. There's not many individuals. I mean, that can
Mhm.
change the way a game proceeds. And what they did is they interviewed these players, and they found that some of them. they didn't know. They just didn't know. They don't know. They just say it just happens.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
just for some reason but there were some that were not the majority, it was a minority that actually were meticulous. They
Mm.
they the difference between their bad game and their good game was not much at all. There wasn't
Yes.
much at all between their good game and their bad game, and that's and I know that in sports science that's what they're trying to achieve. They're trying to achieve every player, every competitor,
Hmm.
that there is minimal difference between their best day and their bad day,
Yes.
and the more consistent that they are, the but it was very interesting to see that the majority of them just said, "I don't know why, I
Yeah.
just I just do it. I just
Yes.
they
Mm.
understand the rules, and they understand how other players play, and
Mm.
they just do unusual things that other players can't do, and
Mm.
they couldn't understand the reasoning behind why their mindset had changed.
Mm.
Uh,
And
I don't know if you. Sorry, keep going.
yeah, sorry, Dr. Scott. I was just going to say it's because a lot of this is subconscious. So they just subconsciously and automatically do it. And so a job of somebody like me, if I wanted to find out what they were doing in their mind, is to ask the appropriate questions to discover that from the subconscious level so we could understand how it is that they produce success. And then we can replicate it in others. So and that's what we actually teach in one of our certification trainings, how to do that process of modeling. So it is possible to model sports people, to model top entrepreneurs, leaders, anyone really.
Yeah, right. Just just understanding their mindset and being able
Yes,
to attain that type of mindset. I
exactly.
see.
Yes. So we want to understand um, what is it that they're doing on a subconscious level often that's producing a result, and we need to get fairly specific. We need to understand what are their belief systems, what are their values, what is their strategy, how did they actually do something specifically, and importantly, how did they recover if they have a failure? How do they get back on the horse if what they're doing isn't working? Because that's really important for ongoing success. Yeah. So if there's a challenge, how do people get back on track after a challenge? Okay, so that's a key element of
Yeah,
modeling. Yeah.
yeah. Majority, I see that in my own patients. The majority are some people that just can't. They're just not able to change the way that they think, and their condition gets worse. What do I mean by that? They want to just go that little extra mile to uh, like you said before, change your life around. So
Yeah.
do see that and a lot of people do self sabotage. I do see
That,
that a lot.
yes. And the key, Dr. Scott, is that people need to have a desire to make a change. Okay.
Yeah,
There's a bit of a fallacy that, hypnosis can make you stop doing things, for example, stop smoking or stop overeating. Um, no one can make you do anything. Okay. So people need to have a willingness to make a change. Provided they
yeah,
have a willingness to make a change, then we can help them. Okay. So that's something that clients and patients bring to the table, that willingness, that desire to change. And often it's at a point where they've had enough of running that problem. They're fed up with it. You've heard the expression, been there, done there, got the t-shirt. Yeah.
yeah,
They've,
yeah,
they've been running the pattern so long, they're over it. Okay,
yeah,
that a willingness to change. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I've noticed that with some patients, they do well for about a month, especially smokers. Smokers is a perfect example.
Mhm.
They do really well for a month, 30 days, and
Okay.
then, or it's some even like a week or 2 weeks. They do really, really well for a week or two or a
Hmm.
month, and then it just all, yeah, they go back to that same habit.
Yeah.
What explain to us what
Mhm.
generally? I shouldn't say exactly, but generally, what
Generally,
is
yes.
yeah?
Yeah. Generally, what's
Because
going on?
because everyone would be different, yeah, Dr. Vesna?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely, yes. So generally, it's they have unconscious patterns that they're running. So it could be a belief system. It could be a belief system around, they believe they're a smoker and they'll always be a smoker. So no matter what you do on the surface, because they believe that, they'll keep being a smoker. Okay, so it could be a
yeah, right.
belief like that, for example. It could be that maybe for them, health is not important enough. If people are not motivated enough for health to be their priority, then it's not going to last. So we're talking about lasting change here. So for lasting change, you need to make sure that on a subconscious level, people are aligned with whatever change you're doing. They need to believe it. They need to be motivated by it, etc.
Yeah,
Okay. Otherwise, it'll be like this roller coaster.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Stop, smoke,
That's
stop, smoke, stop. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I see that a lot. They because they're coming for help. They want help.
Hmm.
And they do great for a little while, and then yeah, it just all goes back to the same old, same old.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing is that maybe the changes that they need to be doing in terms of day-to-day action, maybe they're not totally on board with. Maybe they're just
Yeah,
doing it because they have to, not because they want to. And when we do things out of want, they tend to last longer than out of need to or have to.
yeah. So how do you tap into that? How do you tap into the have to instead of want to, or need to instead of want to?
Yeah. You listen to the language, Dr. Scott, so that will actually tell you. Okay, so if you say to them, please do X, and they'll say, oh, do I have to? Well, I don't really want to.
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
okay, they'll actually tell you. So, um, yeah, listen to their language. The language of the clients and patients will tell you a lot about what they believe they can and cannot do and what their motivation is. Yeah.
yeah. True. That's
Mm.
very true. So okay, I'm gonna open up a heap of can of worms here. So, um, what, how can I put this? So, yeah, okay. So, what do you see a lot of smokers, for instance?
I
Is that
see some smokers. Smoking is not like my only niche. So I see a
yeah?
range of different behaviors. Smoking is one of them, yes.
Because it's an epidemic. I don't want to say pandemic, but it's an it's an epidemic. Uh,
Yes.
and, and Australia, I must give the Australian government some credit where it's due. They have tried their hardest to reduce the advertising, at least anyway. Uh, although
Mm.
there is a tobacconist on every corner we go to,
Yes.
um, they have tried their very hardest to stop the advertising of it.
Mm.
But it is uh, working in the hospitals. I saw a lot of heroin addicts. I saw a lot of crystal meth addicts. I saw all the addictions you can think of. And from the feedback I got for a lot of those people that were addicted, and mind you, I saw a lot. There were dozens of people coming in every day, and that's just one hospital.
Wow.
The feedback that I got was kicking heroin was easier than kicking a cigarette addiction.
Really?
Yeah, they say they could kick heroin, no worries, but they could never ever kick smoking.
Interesting. Something that most people are not aware of when it comes to cigarettes is that every cigarette, when it's cured, is soaked in sugar water. So there's sugar in every cigarette, which is the addictive aspect of it. And when people
So that
stop smoking, they start to have shaking, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because of the sugar withdrawal.
yeah, right.
Because
So okay, yeah. Sorry, you go.
yeah, I was just going to add sugar is as addictive as cocaine, just legal.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard
Mm,
that they did pet scans. They
mm,
used four elements: acupuncture,
mhm.
cocaine, sugar, and the other one was um, there's another illicit drug. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The sugar
Mhm.
was the one that actually lit the brain up the most.
Yeah, yeah, it's really bad.
It-
Mm,
Yeah, I know with French fries they do the same thing with McDonald's and Hungry Jacks. They
mhm.
do the same thing. They put a watery sugar.
Yeah,
It, it's really watered down sugar, but yeah, they still do put sugar in the water. But when they're putting the fries through before they're frozen,
okay.
so
Yeah,
it's the same. It sounds like the same thing when they're curing the tobacco leaf.
yes. And so that's why when people have McDonald's, for example, one burger is often not enough.
Yeah, well, especially the French fries. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well,
mm,
the bread as well. The bread as well is a simple carbohydrate. So
that's
because they mill the wheat and
it.
they break it up into three components, which
Yeah,
is bran, bran, and the white flour that we get. And the germ is the fat of the wheat,
hmm,
and the bran is the fiber of the wheat. So they've taken those two out. So all that's left is a simple carbohydrate, and then they bleach it. That's why it's white.
yeah, yeah,
So
very bad.
I actually didn't know that about tobacco. I thought it was just the nicotine and chemicals that they put in the tobacco itself that made it so addictive.
Yeah, it's the sugar plays. I think about 18% sugar is in each cigarette,
Wow,
which is quite a bit.
18%. That's almost one fifth.
Yeah, and I've asked smokers, is it disclosed on the packet, and no one has been able to
I've never
identify it on
seen
the.
it.
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
mm,
Not that I smoke. I don't smoke anymore. So
I don't.
actually, I got a confession. I actually did go to a hypnotist
Okay.
in my twenties. In my twenties, uh, before my son was born, because I wanted to stop smoking. So because he was born, I thought better become an adult now and save some money.
Yes.
And yeah, it did actually help. I had to go back to him about 6 months later. I did
Okay.
have to go back to him. So it took me
Hmm.
two sessions. So it was pretty for me. It was very beneficial.
Excellent. Well done. Yeah. So you were really motivated to do it. So you had
Yeah,
enough reason
I
to
was.
change. Mm,
Well, yeah, he didn't talk about it, but it was really my son was the motivation. He
yes.
was the
Yeah.
reason why.
Yeah. And so people that do things for the right reasons are often more successful because if people just come to stop smoking, for example, because a doctor told them to or somebody else told them to, their partner, often they're not as successful because it's not for them. They're doing it for someone else.
Yeah, so that's another thing.
Hmm.
I've talked to other practitioners about this. So tell us if you can. So people with addiction, especially, are more concerned about what's going on now for them than what is going to happen in the future from the side effects of whatever the addiction they have. Tell us why are they in the moment now worried not worried about what's going to happen in the future?
Yeah, so it's almost like instant gratification. So people that are seeking instant gratification just want things now rather than later. So it's people who maybe overspend. So they want, to buy, new clothes, new car, new house, whatever it is now, rather than
Mm,
save up for it and wait for it. So there's an element of that going on. Yeah, the
yeah,
instant.
yeah,
Um, there's also two major types of motivation that people have. One is what we call the carrot, where people are motivated by rewards and positives and benefits. And the other one is the stick, where people are motivated by consequences, usually negative, what could go wrong, etc. And so, people who are motivated by the stick, if you motivate them in the opposite way, they won't care. If you talk about the benefits, they won't care. And the ones that are motivated by the benefits, if you tell them about the negative consequences, they won't care either. Okay, so you need to use the right type of motivation to get them into action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so that you got to just tap into whether they want to um, be affected by the negative information or the positive drive, because that's very important. I have seen that before, even for myself. It's the same thing.
And the third thing to also be aware of is that some people like to rebel. They don't like to be told what to do. So if they're told what to do, they'll do the opposite. Yeah. And
Yeah. Well, they just
so
will shut down. Some people just shut down. They just don't.
So if society tells you, stop smoking, those people might go, I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
You can't tell me what to do. Yeah. So you get an aspect of that as well.
Yeah, I understand.
And then finally, I guess there's a fourth one too. If health is not important to people that maybe smoke, for example, it's like that's not going to motivate them. You telling them how they're going to be healthy or how it's going to help improve their fitness, they'll say, so what? Doesn't matter, because it's not important to them. They're not motivated by health. They're motivated by other things. Yeah, it's not a priority.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It baffles me sometimes that some patients they'll come once or twice and then they won't come back. And when you ask them, you ask for the feedback, they say, "Oh, I just can't afford to do that right now. I just," even though they've got type 2 diabetes, they've got cardiovascular disease, taking a multitude of medications, all sorts of asthma, all these chronic diseases, and they want help, but they just don't want to spend the money on themselves.
Because it's not a priority. It's not, because often in the same breath they'll say, "Oh, I can't afford it. I'm going on a holiday." Yeah. So, they do have the money. It's just their priority is different. Yeah.
Yeah. But I can't get around on the holiday.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm going to be careful on the airplane because I got deep vein thrombosis or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So it gets back to really understanding, what's important to the client or the patient, what motivates them, listening to their language, and then using that information to do your best to get them to take the action, etc. In terms of what you do, Dr. Scott. Ideally, it's great to address the deeper issues, of course, so that they're just naturally motivated to do things and take action. Some people like to sabotage themselves, and some people.
I think just about everyone does it at some stage of their life.
At some stage, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. The question is, have they had enough of it?
Yes.
I don't want to change. Yeah.
And that's another thing, is that we're taught from an early age don't agree with change, and try not to change too much. That's another one. I was told the same thing. Trying to be consistent, try to get into routines. No matter if they're positive or negative. That's the other thing, is they don't teach us the basics as well at school, and even at uni. I found it tough just the basic understandings. Like business is a perfect example. Business is makes me laugh, because I think these people are academics. They have no idea about business. They don't have a business themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I remember when I completed my Bachelor of Economics, and I then went into the economics field to actually apply it. Worlds apart, what I learned had no relevance to what I was actually doing on the job. So it was almost like to relearn things on the job.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is we're taught to get the job, just one day beyond broke.
Yeah.
And the problem is that that ingrained information is very hard to break. And then when you do go out to get your own business, you got to break all that mentality completely.
Yes.
And support yourself. Get your support network, I should say, that understand how business works. Because once you're in business, it's tough because you got to break all these routines that you've done in the past. Number one, and then you got to find people that want to help with the business.
Yes. Yeah, very true. It's a very different set of values and beliefs working for somebody else compared to running your own business.
Yes, definitely. And to speak to people, especially when you're the client as well, and you're speaking to an employee, and you're trying to explain this is the business. I'm trying to, and they're like, oh no.
Yes.
What? Who owns this business? Who owns your business? Who do you work for? Yeah.
Okay.
And some people can get upset.
Yeah. You can say a very, very special person called Dr. Scott Fox.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is, it's our society, and that's what I mean is, I think what you were speaking about before, if we were taught about sabotage from an early age, people would be so much better off. So much. If that was part of our curriculum, do you think that would change society?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it would, because then people would make sure that they had a mindset for success right from an earlier age, and that would set them up for many more opportunities and possibilities rather than limitations. And can you imagine how people would just soar and fly and create and innovate, and the sort of society we would have?
Yeah. Cherish the thought.
Yes.
Cherish the thought. So that's okay. All right. Well, so I suppose you've really talked about it. You sort of dabbled in it. So tell us a little bit about who your ideal client, or who you see the most. What sort of problems that you see the most of?
Okay, so I guess there's two categories, two groups that I mainly work with. The first is professionals and business owners that are tired of the roller coaster. Yeah, they're going up and down, up and down, up and down, and that could be in their business or career, in their relationship, in their health, hopefully not all areas of their life. Yeah. And then they want to stop it. They want to stop it and they want to get on track. So what I do is I help to identify how they're sabotaging themselves, how they're causing the roller coaster on a subconscious level. And then I help them to very quickly and permanently stop this so they can have consistency. Okay, so that's the first area. Yeah, first group of people. Yeah.
And the second?
And the second one, yeah, go on.
Oh, what were you going to add? What were you going to
Yeah.
add? And then you can answer my second question.
I'll answer your second question. Yeah. And the second group I help with are professionals in corporate jobs who dread going to work, like I did 23 years ago, and they're bored or unfulfilled. They don't want to get up in the morning and go to work. They wish they didn't have to. And they'd love to be able to do something more rewarding, like helping other people. And I help them to make that transition like I did.
Yeah. You have inside information on that. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about your book as well. You've got a book, is that right?
2 books plus one being edited. So third one being edited. So yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, tell us about the first two.
The first one is called Stop Sabotaging Your Confidence. So it's basically a workbook people work through, and they can identify which of the 34 different ways they're sabotaging themselves at the moment, and then they go through various exercises in the chapters that helps them to work through those techniques. It's like a self-help little workbook that they go through. So that book has been on the Amazon bestseller list at least 9 times now, so it's quite popular. And we also include it as one of our textbooks in one of our trainings as well to help our students become certified. And so that's the first one. The second book is one I co-authored. It's called Game Changers, Innovation in Business. And I wrote a chapter in that book on the mindset, how to create a mindset of innovation so that we can, as business owners, innovate, create, differentiate, and make a bigger difference. Yeah. And the other chapters are stories from, I think, 17 other business owners, entrepreneurs who have innovated in their business. So that's the second one. And the third one is a surprise. It's health related. That's all I say.
So, is there anyone in the second book that we know that you follow?
Apart from me,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. People may know some people in there. Yeah, it's international.
Okay.
It's international, so there's people from around the world.
Okay. So, Felisa Moffat, she said, I can get these books from where? So, obviously, Amazon. Is that right, Dr. Vesna?
Amazon will have Stop Sabotaging Your Confidence. If you'd like to get a free chapter from the book, you can visit the website qttransformation.com. So double T, qttransformation.com. And you can access a free chapter from the book. And you can also buy the book there too if you choose to.
There you go, Felisa. So that's on Amazon, and also that website. So I'll get you to put your website in the comments as well, Dr. Vesna. I'll send you the links after the podcast, and you can do
okay, that's fine. Okay, wonderful.
So Felisa said nice. So that's Thank you so much, Dr. Vesna. So I'll go on to the last question. You've done well. It's almost 50 minutes. So I'll go on to the last question. So what rules or ideas would you go by to attain lifelong longevity?
I have 4 things that I do consistently. The first one is having a compelling purpose that gives you real meaning in life. Very, very important. It's been proven that people with a purpose have longevity. Okay, so always have a purpose for doing something great in life. It'll drive you. Yeah. Secondly, make health a priority because health and longevity go hand in hand, don't they? So, and health includes mental health, emotional, physical, and spiritual health, all aspects of health. Thirdly, always trust your intuition. It's there to protect you and keep you safe. So always trust it when it comes to what's right for you, your health, and your life. And finally, surround yourself with positivity. You are your environment. You've probably heard that. So be careful about the people in the workplace you surround yourself with. Family and friends, be careful what you watch, read, and listen to because it will influence you on a subconscious level. Okay, and you want to be empowered rather than watch the news. And I call the news National Depression Hour because that's how people feel afterwards.
I've forgotten his name. He was one of the US presidents. He said, believe nothing you hear and believe half of what you see. I love that. I love that. So, all of those things were very true. Thank you so much, Dr. Vesna. Much appreciated for your time. That was probably one of the most interesting interviews I've ever done. So, thank you so much, Dr. Vesna. You gave us some gold today. So, much appreciated with all the information that you have. As I said, we'll get you to put your details in the chat. I'm all on Facebook, LinkedIn, and also YouTube going live. So I'll send you the links for those, and you can put the details in the comments, and so people can access that, and also obviously for your book as well, and also the website. So much appreciated, Dr. Vesna. Thank you so much for your time. And you've been watching the Get Busy Livin podcast with Dr. Scott and Dr. Vesna. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Scott, and everyone. Really appreciate it.
And thank you, Felisa, for commenting as well. And yeah, appreciate it. As I said, we'll get all that information out to you, and I can actually private message you if you want, Felisa, as well, and give you Dr. Vesna's details. She's also on LinkedIn as well, Dr. Vesna. So that's how actually I met you through. Was it Ed or was it through the Happy Business?
HMP, yes.
HMP, yeah.
HMP.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.